Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So this is the story of the origin of martial nonviolence. I was teaching Aikido to everybody I teach Aikido to, and their techniques, for one reason or another, were not working. And rather than let them repeat it in a less functional way over and over again for as long as I did until I figured out how it worked, I began to give them prompts. I would say, when they were doing the technique Katate Dori Tenkan, where someone grabs your wrist and you grab them back and you turn and stand beside them, they were yanking on the arm, and I said, well, you need to lead them. You need to make it clear that your body is with their body so that you're going together. So why don't you think of going together with the person? And they would do the same thing again. And I said, no, why don't you say, let's go together? And they said, let's go together. And they still yanked on them. And I said, okay, now why don't you imagine you're being watched by somebody else who has to believe that when you say, let's go together. And then they brought their head up into the correct posture. They looked out at the imagined audience, and they brought the person around saying, let's go together. And I thought, excellent, I have an Aikido teaching tool. And so I began using that with people, and they began asking me, wait a minute, which one do you say with which? So I began writing them down. And then the first time, someone came back to me from outside the dojo, from having a student inside the dojo came back from having said, without thinking about it, one of the prompts. I believe it was, I'm listening, or tell me more, or something like that. They came back in and said, hey, it was really funny. It came out of my mouth. I didn't even really think about it. And then this other person reacted really well to me in a way that the whole conflict changed. And I thought to myself, why didn't I realize this was a somatic learning process from the beginning, and that the body would inform the words would inform the mind would engage with the imagination, and then you'd have additional conflict options. And that's when martial nonviolence was born. So I started writing down all the various techniques that I had paired with the phrases that I had been using to teach people to make their Aikido work, and then people began to report more and more that as they used the phrases with people engaging their body, doing the whole process, conflict turns out well. And so what martial nonviolence is Aikido with language put inside to make kind of an Aikido 2.0, and then taught through improvisation, imagining an audience, so that you can have facilitation skills for groups, and that's martial nonviolence. When you take that and you teach it to groups of people, that's peace practices, because that's when the impact rises to the level that you can use big capital P words like peace, because then we're talking about entire systems change and cultural transformation, and that's how it started.